You know, I've been a pastor now for more than 15 years. And throughout those years, there's been a situation that has occurred over and over again as I lead people on their spiritual journey. And the situation goes something like this. Someone will come to me and say, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it, Eric. You're not going to believe it. God opened a door. He opened a door. And so clearly that must mean I'm supposed to go through it." Or the flip side of the coin is I'll be working with them and they'll be bummed out and depressed and say, "You know, I thought I was supposed to do this, but the door is just closed. God has closed the door, and so clearly I am not supposed to go that way." Well, what I want to suggest to you is that it might be the case that nothing is further from the truth. That indeed a door has opened, but God does not want you to go through it. Or a door is remarkably stuck shut, and God has great plans for you to get through it. Well, how could that be? How do we know what to do? What are we supposed to think about this? Well, Joshua chapter 9 gives us some fascinating insight into this type of situation. And what we find in Joshua chapter 9 is the Israelites are now in the land, and God has instructed them they're supposed to wipe out everybody in the land. They're supposed to cleanse the land. And I realize that this idea of God asking them to wipe out everybody, it kind of rattles our mind. And we're going to talk about that in a future episode. What's up with all the death, right? But for now, let's not worry about that. Just understand the instruction is they're supposed to cleanse the land. And so this certain group of people, and they're called the Gibeonites, they resort to a ruse. And the situation is that they end up deceiving the Israelites in such a way that the Israelites make a treaty with them and they don't destroy them. They don't wipe them out. And the consequence of this is something that impacts the Israelites for the rest of their lives. In other words, what happens is they fail to receive the full blessing that God had for them, all because they were tricked. All because they went through an open door that they thought God was opening for them, when in reality it was just an open door and God didn't want them to go through it. So here's the lesson to learn. Just because a door opens, it doesn't mean God wants you to go through it. Let me say that again. Just because a door opens, it doesn't mean God wants you to go through it. It's called the open door deception. There's a very interesting line in the center of the story, in the center of today's text today. And that line is this: they did not inquire of the Lord. In other words, as this door opened, Joshua and the leaders of Israel, they just thought, "Oh my gosh, this door is open. What a wonderful thing. We'll make a treaty with these people." But they did not inquire of the Lord. They failed to ask God what He wants. How often have you in your life made decisions when doors have opened or good things have come or maybe bad things have happened and you assume, well, this must not be what God wants? Have you just made decisions and failed to inquire of the Lord? The sad truth is many of us do this all the time. In fact, almost every day. I wonder what kind of blessings we're missing out on because we fail to inquire of the Lord. I wonder how many doors we've rushed through because we failed to inquire of the Lord, a door that God didn't want us to go through. Or worse yet, maybe there's a door that we're trying to get open and God wants us to get through to the other side, but we give up because we fail to inquire of the Lord. Here's the challenge. Every day when you wake up, it is critical that we spend some time in prayer. Just talk to God and ask Him, "Lord, what do you want me to do today?" Present the decisions and the questions that you have in that day. Present them to Him and say, "Lord, I have this option, this opportunity. Should I pursue this business lead? Should I pursue this relationship? Should I pursue this friendship? Lord, what should I do?" Now, you won't always get a verbal answer. You know, God's not going to crack the sky and tell you what to do. But sometimes what will happen is He'll open your eyes to see things in a new way. Maybe you'll see, hey, there's a deception going on here. Or maybe He'll open your ears to hear something you weren't hearing before. Or perhaps He'll put somebody else in your life that'll point something out or teach you something that you hadn't thought of before. You see, God wants to answer these prayers. In fact, in the New Testament, He promises that if we ask for wisdom, He will indeed give it to us. So have you inquired of the Lord? Have you inquired about that open door that's just popped open and you're thinking, this must be God? Or have you inquired of the Lord of this door that won't open and you're pulling and you're pulling and you're pulling and you're about to give up? And sometimes we inquire of the Lord and we actually do give up. And that's when the door supernaturally opens. Take this challenge. Shut off your device and in the next 15 seconds, just take a moment to pray. Think about, what decisions am I facing? What is it that I have to decide about today in the next 24 hours? Decisions about direction or where I'm heading and these types of things. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's relational, maybe it has to do with your career. Whatever it is, just take a moment and lay these things before God. Inquire of Him, Lord, what do you want me to do? The thing is, you will never go wrong by asking God for an answer. He may not give you an answer, but you will always be right when you inquire of the Lord. My name is Eric, and I am the 5-Minute Pastor.